Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Play With It with Cass Allen. We're on the family topic, and today we're talking about disagreements. And to set the context, by disagreements, I'm speaking to differences of opinions on a topic. It's just that simple. We don't have the same opinion of something. Disagreements obviously can take place with anybody in our family. We've been covering basically parents, siblings, grandparents, aunties, uncles, and cousins. So we're sticking to that frame. Disagreements with each member of the family can go very different. Again, as I've said earlier, a lot of times parents have the upper hand over situations regardless of our age. I'm not talking, when I say parents and children, I'm speaking children of any age. I'm somebody's child. My mate is somebody's child. My mate's parents have parents. Everybody's somebody's child. Parents and siblings, a lot of times, we give a respect to our parents that other people may never even receive. In disagreements, our parents can tell us, that's the end of it a lot of times. They've had enough. And it's not about an age thing. Your parents will tell you, if you're being disrespectful to them, call you out, in a disagreement, or ask you, maybe they'll have more patience with you in a disagreement than your peers meaning your siblings and your cousins might. The disagreement may get more heated with someone who's closer to one's age because you may feel more inclined to be yourself, as you will. Dealing with parents, sometimes adult children, even, there are lines you don't cross. Even if it's a line of self-expression, it may be something as simple as cursing. You may curse with your cousins and your siblings, but not curse with your parents. Some do, obviously, but the point is to show that there can be differences that come with the role that one plays in one's life, where you may yell back at your sibling and call him, he or she, an idiot, and names that may not be so nice. It may be things you never consider doing with your parent, to not be disrespectful. Your auntie and uncle, anyone of seniority, your grandparents may show a different type of respect than you would show your sibling in a disagreement. It could be you may have a disagreement with a sibling that over something that is not as serious as something with a parent, but deliver a wrath to the sibling that's far outweighs the other situation because you can, you know. In disagreements, they come for a number of reasons. We disagree on things. We disagree on family, even maybe who we're having conversations with in the family, or the way the conversations are being had, how a person's love. We disagree because we have pride and don't want to change our minds and let people know that we're wrong. We have disagreements that lead to us getting mad and being hurtful to people. We disagree over a number of things: religion, politics. It could be anything, as we all know. A moody day, a bad day that just puts you in a mood to annoy everybody around you because you want to transfer what you're feeling. I think it's important, as we're having disagreements with our family, to think about why. You don't want to end up in a situation where you take a family member for granted and think you can take your attitude out on them all of the time, and end up sacrificing a very good family member that no longer wants to speak to you because you're an asshole. Um, Sometimes with family members, we think we can say all kinds of things, thinking they'll be there because we're family. We take them for granted. Oh, well, hell, that's my sister. She'll be in the next bedroom tomorrow because we both live with our parents. as opposed to how we might sometimes treat a stranger or our friends, and which can be better than how we treat our own family. We'll sit there and listen, be respectful, use a calm voice if possible, and go through the same type of situation with a family member, and you sitting there and don't want to hear shit they have to say, saying all kinds of disrespectful stuff, and speaking in a voice that sounds like you're escalating something. It could be the same situation. You know, it's often the people who are closest to us that I won't say mistreat the most. I've learned to, realize if I think about a ratio between treatment between friends and family, it might be the same. You know, a lot of times it's based on the time spent. If I'm spending 1 day per week around a friend and 7 days a week around my family, and if I say half the time there are going to be issues, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have a lot more run-ins with my family, even though it's the same ratio with my friend that I'm bickering with for an hour or two per week versus my family 24 hours a day for nearly 4 days of the week. That's simply math, same math, but we weigh it differently. I've told people the more I'm around you, the more I'm guaranteed to get on your nerve and vice versa. Because we see more of each other. We get to see more of each other's moods, emotions. People can be good for a day. People can show up for the movie and you have a great time with them and say that's your best friend in the whole world that you spend 2 hours with per week. People can show up for the party and be your best friend and go out and laugh and have a good time and drink, and you say that's your best friend. People can do that once a week stuff for you real easy, or meet with you once a month for coffee, and these will be your girls, and it should be real. But the point is, you're not spending a lot of time with these people. You're preparing for that good time. You're getting ready to have a good time. You're manifesting a good time. So more than likely, you're gonna have one. When you're home with your family from day to day, they catch you in all kinds of moves. They catch you with your hair down, see you without your makeup. They see the you who cries, that looks tough at school, or the you that looks like everything's okay, but at work, but you come home and feel defeated. They get to see you without the mask or the makeup, if you will, because sometimes you can have on makeup and still be your real self. So I don't want to imply that a mask kind of signifies you're not truly being yourself. It's more like makeup. They see the best side of you. Like I say, you get dressed, you put on your makeup, you put on your nice clothes, and you go out into the day. And you perform, if you will. But then you come home and you take off the makeup and, you take off the hair, you take off the clothes, and you're someone else. And that's the person that family sees most of the time. Unless obviously you're in that gray area, people who get dressed up every day. But that's not the point we're making. We're talking about the personalities. Overheard a conversation where one person was telling another person how patient that person was. And I giggled inside because I thought to myself, this person is not always patient. This person is patient with you because this patient gets to chat with you every now and then. This person sees you once in a while. Y'all are so glad to see each other. It's like a play date. You come out and you have a good time. But the people who see this person every day know that when they come home and when they're tired and when they're cranky, their patience runs thin. The side that other person never gets to see. Because normally when you're hanging out, what are you? Made up. You're in your best clothes, your best hairdos, your best haircuts. You're at your best going to hang out with your friends more than likely. So keep that in mind, when you're observing people and how you feel like they get down. You may have a friend that is horrible at disagreements, but you never see that side of them because you two never have a disagreement. And then you think, oh, this is my best friend, my family members, they don't know how to act. Well, because you've never had this issue with your bestie, you never got to see this side to find out that maybe your family members are communicating with you a little better than that bestie might. And the bottom line in this scenario that we're discussing today is disagreements are going to come. They come with every relationship. They come for all kinds of reasons. It's important that I always say, try to treat our family as strangers. Try not to take each other for granted is a part of that. It's not just about not allowing people to take advantage of you just because of blood. It's about you paying attention to how you treat people as well when you're in disagreements. Do you dismiss the person because that's your younger sibling and their opinion doesn't have as much weight to you? Do you not listen to your grandparent during a disagreement because you feel he or she is too old and disconnected? Do you make fun of your siblings in a disagreement because you feel you're the older sibling and you can do the teasing? Look at yourself in disagreements, not just the people around you. I stress being aware of how people treat you and how you allow people to treat you. Are you letting people treat you a certain way because of blood or because of character? In that comes the reverse and studying you meaning ourselves. How are we responding in a family situation during disagreements? Could we have done a better job of communicating? Could we have lowered our voices? Could we have not reacted with such animation? There are a number of things we can ask ourselves as we assess situations where we have disagreements. Did you listen to the other person fully or just cut them off to make your point? And I can say yes to any of these things on a given day as a human, that I'm guilty of every fucking one of them at some given time. I believe overall with people fair and balanced, but shit, I have my days where I lose my mind and am irrational just like anybody else. So we have to ask ourselves these questions during every episode because none of us are perfect, and after that disagreement, if you have committed an offense, are you willing to go back and acknowledge it and have a conversation about it and own it? One of my favorite sayings I've heard, I don't know how long ago now it's been, I don't know, maybe 20 years or so, is we all break glass, but it's how we pick it up that counts. And that saying changed my life at the time. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to get angry. We're going to have disagreements, regrets, whatever you want to call it. But how do we fix it? What are we willing to do to make it better? What type of balm are you willing to apply? A disagreement doesn't have to always come with shattered glass either. We worrying about how we pick it up, but worry about how you hold it in the first place and how you handle it. Are you tossing it against the wall? Are you not caring how you carrying it? And then, and by this I mean people's hearts. You know, put the time into treating each other like gentle souls. And agreements can lead to some sexy shit. Disagreements, excuse me, can lead to some sexy shit. Disagreements can lead to some closer friendships. Sometimes in disagreements, we learn to respect each other's truth, that somebody's willing to stand in front of you and say how they feel without being a me too. The disagreements can lead to trust. There's so many things. Instead of standing in the middle of each other or amid each other, whatever word you want to use, trying to be right about shit and arguing about shit, think about the fantastic ideas that are being presented, whether you agree or not. Think about how someone is coming with angles that force you to think about what principles you stand on. Don't get upset. Smile. If you strong on your shit and you standing with your 10 toes, there's no reason to lose your mind. Speak your piece, back your points, and feel good about it, that you have the knowledge to even express yourself during a disagreement. We all gonna do it. Like I said more than once during this conversation, we always gonna have disagreements with our family. But make sure that you following some guidelines, some etiquette for how to handle these situations instead of losing opportunities to have good people in your life because of stupid stuff like pride. And on that note, this has been Cass Allen with Play With It. Have a good day and have a good night.